Welcome back to America Votes 2016. J.D. Hayworth at Newsmax TV's National Anchor Desk from Newsmax, New York. Very pleased to be joined by Steve Malzberg, and we have some updates for you. Florida is too close to call. The margin now, Donald Trump ahead by almost a percentage point, 48.9 to 49.1%, a razor-thin margin of almost a single percentage point. We can tell you that Florida's neighboring state of Alabama is now firmly in Donald Trump's column. Alabama goes to Trump. And veteran United States Senator Richard Shelby has been reelected to the Senate. Steve, you made mention of this earlier tonight in Indiana, but it's something we might want to repeat. Congressman Todd Young has defeated Evan Bayh, the former Democrat governor and former United States Senator from Indiana. Steve, to see that, Evan Bayh was thought of earlier in his career as untouchable, but he came back with too much establishment on him, too much of the stigma of the lobbyist, and Hoosier voters said, no thanks, Mr. Bayh, you're staying home.
Yeah, no, that obviously would have been devastating to lose that seat. But you're right. I mean, Evan Bayh, certainly the name Bayh in that state resonates, and the people of Indiana spoke. And you know, let's see, with Rubio winning and Bayh keeping the losing and not taking the coach seat. Let's see what happens in the other tight races there. We did lose the Kirk seat in Illinois, as you pointed out earlier. So that's, I think we're down one net so far. But there are still probably about 5 other races or 6 other races that you know, the Democrats conceivably could pick up seats in and get control of the Senate. So that's just as important almost as what we're watching here with Trump and Hillary.
And if I could just channel the late, great John McLaughlin for a second, to Evan Bayh, bye-bye. And as we say hello to one of my old colleagues from Capitol Hill, Skyping in tonight from the Lone Star State of Texas, it's former House Republican leader Tom DeLay. Tom, as we greet you with the news that the Associated Press has projected that the Republican Party will maintain the majority in the United States House of Representatives. Leader, your reaction to that news?
Well, I'm very happy about that news. We probably going to lose a few seats, but you know, as well as I do, JD, the power of the purse is in the House if they will exercise it. And I'm hoping that new leadership in the House, Paul Ryan has already laid out an agenda called A Better Way. He knows that he has to stand up to whoever's the next president. And if it's Hillary Clinton, he's going to have a very, very tough road to hoe. But he's got the power of the purse if he'll just exercise it.
And Congressman, let me ask you, Steve Malzberg here, let me ask you about Texas. I never thought it was in question, still don't. But if for someone just tuning in and looking and seeing about 50% of the vote in or so, or maybe a little less, and Hillary with a lead on Donald Trump, you're perfectly confident that that's going to dissipate and change, correct?
Well, sure, but first returns in Texas always come from inner city Houston, Austin, and Dallas. That doesn't concern us at all. There's no way that Texas is going to vote for Hillary Clinton.
You know, Leader, it's been very interesting to see the juxtaposition. About 10 days ago, the Democrats were going to expand the map, and they were taking aim at your state of Texas. But Donald Trump flipped the playbook on them, went into states like Michigan, Pennsylvania, and other states like New Hampshire, where it appeared earlier tonight he might pull that off. And yet we keep coming back to Florida, where Donald Trump leads by 0.9 of a percentage point. Is this about what you expected?
Yeah, it's pretty much. I'm not a big polls guy. I think the polls are usually wrong by 3 to 5 percentage points. But the trends look like what everybody is saying, that Florida was going to be just a nail biter, and whoever wins Florida probably wins the next presidency. So, and it's going to be a while before we actually know who wins Florida. But we still got a problem in North Carolina too. So it's still a nail biter. It's going to be a couple of hours before we know anything happens.
Yeah, I mean, Congressman, we focus on Florida, and rightfully so, and it is amazingly close, or maybe I should say traditionally close after the past few elections, presidential elections, and the results. But he could win Florida. Losing North Carolina, if he does, would be almost as problematic.
Most definitely. He's got to win Florida, Ohio, and North Carolina to even have a shot. And then he's got to win New Hampshire or Pennsylvania or some combination of the smaller states. But he has got to win Florida, North Carolina, and Ohio to even have a shot.
We will keep an eye on it, leader Tom DeLay, tonight from Texas. Tom, we appreciate your time. And let's welcome in a couple of additional guests now. First, international reporter Maggie Powell, Skyping in from Washington, D.C., and at Newsmax Washington, columnist for the Daily Beast, Barrett Holmes-Pittner. Maggie, we said it was going to be a nail-biter. This is living up to expectations. This Florida vote, can Trump hang on to it given where the votes are being counted right now?
Isn't this amazing, JD? So we know that 60 to 70% of Florida precincts they're reporting results, and it is such a nail biter. Here's what we do know. Whomever ends up being president, they're going to have a deeply divided nation to deal with. That's going to take a very long time to heal. But we knew that Florida would come down to this, frankly. And I'm more concerned with Pennsylvania, Michigan, and North Carolina at the moment than I am Florida, because we kind of expected this from Florida. But the states up in the air would still be Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Michigan, frankly.
Barrett, what strikes you at this point? Of course, the closeness of Florida. What else are you seeing?
Well, frankly, right now it's looking kind of encouraging for Hillary Clinton. All the stuff that we thought was going to happen is going to happen. These swing states are always going to be tight. North Carolina is encouraging. Florida, there's still a lot of votes to be cast, and Miami-Dade and Broward to be counted. Let me correct myself. So it's just playing out how they expected. But Trump, to have a chance, needs to take something like Pennsylvania or New Hampshire. And so far, we're not getting any information that is appears to be on the card. So right now, it looks quite encouraging from the Democratic side.
So, Maggie, if you had to pick a blue state where Trump is going to break through, where would that be? New Hampshire?
I can only hope, JD. We're our battleground state of Pennsyltucky, as we've been calling it all day, because of its rural area. And back to the other panelist for a moment. He's absolutely right. Clinton is showing a marginal lead in specific counties in Florida, but I've got to just be encouraged that Pennsylvania could still be won for Trump. We're waiting on those numbers. We know that 29 states have closed polls or partially closed polls, but Pennsylvania is frankly my nail biter this evening if I had to pick one.
Yeah, well, I'd be anxious to see. I haven't seen many numbers from Pennsylvania, even though the polls, I believe, have been closed since 8 o'clock Eastern time. So that'll be interesting. But you get in the habit. Earlier, I was very discouraged when I saw some of the Florida numbers, and I was warned by Dick Morris, correctly so, not to jump to conclusions. And now, I'm also seeing some numbers problematic in North Carolina, in New Hampshire, in Ohio, and I just don't know how many of those are going to turn around into Trump's favor and make it possible for him to have a road to gain the victory.
Well, one thing we want to gain is cognizance of the time remaining right here. And here's what I'd ask. Maggie, where you are in the nation's capital, stay right there. Barrett Holmes-Pittner, where you are at Newsmax Washington, stay right there. And of course, Brother Malsberg is contractually bound to stay in his seat at Newsmax New York. But luckily, he doesn't have to smell my breath. This is television after all, not smell-o-vision. Meantime, we want to ask you to do something because it's something that we think can gain insights for us all on what is transpiring tonight as we are watching these votes come in from across the country. And that quite simply is for you to log on to newsmaxpolls.com and let us know who you voted for. Your chance to vote again, somewhat. Not literally, but cluing us in on how you voted earlier today electronically. Now, we are going to have more with Maggie and Barrett and Steve as we continue to keep an eye on Florida and those swing states. The drama is real. The tension you could cut with a knife. It's a